last 10 years or so, India has seen several initiatives to improve the quality of education by providing support to the teacher in the classroom. Content, technology, training, of course. I've personally been part of a number of these initiatives. And while being part of these initiatives, what I've often found is that most of these initiatives are unable to bring quality, scale, and sustainability together. And when I asked the question why, a fundamental bottleneck I started realizing is that while we are pushing a whole lot of things onto the teacher and the classroom, there doesn't seem to be any reason or motivation or incentive for the teacher himself or herself to pull or demand for these things, because making these improvements doesn't necessarily translate to career progress for the teacher. So he or she doesn't get a better salary or a better role or better opportunities by making these improvements. So some of us got together to solve what we saw as a very fundamental bottleneck and created Center for Teacher Accreditation, CENTA. CENTA is essentially developing a market-driven certification for teachers, aiming to create a career path for the teaching profession. So this market-driven certification will connect outstanding teachers to great opportunities, and through that motivate a much larger population of teachers to improve their own competencies and start pulling for various kinds of content, training, support available out there. And CENTA, of course, itself does not provide any of the support because we are an independent certification body, but we are starting to see that certain training and content entities are aligning their modules with the CENTA standards. CENTA's certification is based on the CENTA standards, which is a well-defined competency framework for teachers, developed through intense international research and input from several stakeholders around India. And it's an evolving framework which will continue to get updated based on inputs from the ground. The certification consists of two parts, an objective test and a practical assessment. The objective test is run in the format of a large national competition to reward, recognize, and celebrate teachers. We call this the CENTA Teaching Professionals Olympiad, or TPO. And TPO has received tremendous traction and response from teachers from literally all over the country. So TPO was held in about 7 cities across India in its first year, that was 2015, and we grew it to 23 cities across India in 2016. More than 6,000 teachers have participated in TPO, more than 15,000 teachers have expressed interest, and even more importantly, the participants come from over 500 cities, towns and villages, traveling to one of these cities to participate. They come from schools of all backgrounds, private as well as government, schools charging less than $20 a month in fees to schools charging more than $200 a month in fees. So they represent the entire gamut of the teaching population. There are supplemental teachers, there are teachers who are aspiring teachers who are not yet in a job, and so on. TPO has also received a lot of support from state governments, with at least 7 different governments encouraging their teachers to participate. The Hindu, which is a large media entity in India, is the media partner of the TPO, and probably about 30 regional media entities have covered this initiative. The newsletters of several organizations have also profiled this initiative and encouraged teachers in their own networks to participate, and so on. TPO is an initiative that is quite central to CENTA's certification, and we hope to build this and grow this not only in India but in other emerging markets beyond, including a small experiment in UAE in 2017 itself. The other part of our work, of course, is the practical CENTA certificate, which is taken by a subset of teachers from the TPO.
understand where I stand in this field,
Okay.
and what more I can do for the children and for the school, how I can contribute for the school,
Okay.
and what more we can do for the society at large,
Okay.
and contribute in the same way for the students in the school. And this has been a good initiative, and this Olympiad has given me an opportunity to take part and get me more information on how I can improve in education.
Great, great, great. So,
Going back to the fundamental impact that we as CENTA are trying to create in this ecosystem, though it's still early days, we are starting to see some evidence of that. So on one hand, we are starting to see teachers who are doing well in CENTA's certification, getting opportunities in the landscape. So we have seen a few examples of salary increase, we have seen a few promotions, we have seen people getting into new roles and so on. On the other side, we are starting to see several teachers reaching out to us saying that I received a report talking about these areas of strength, these areas of improvement. Now, what do I do to improve my scores? What are the competencies I need to work on? What are the resources available for working on them? And that to us is clear evidence of the cycle starting to get not completed, but at least started in some ways. And we are hoping that this can build into a virtuous cycle over time, where more and more teachers get opportunities, and therefore more and more teachers feel inspired to improve their competencies towards similar opportunities. And with that improvement in competencies, we start seeing a fundamental change in the quality of education.